Welcome to this cinematic explainer. Today, we're breaking down the absolute legendary playbook that has literally shaped the modern world of wealth and achievement. Napoleon Hill studied 500 millionaires to uncover the exact mechanics of success, distilling his findings into 13 actionable steps. So, whether you've got nothing but a dream right now or you're looking to scale your current ambitions, this explainer is going to give you the exact blueprint you need to start building today.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The ultimate premise of Hill's entire life's work really boils down to one wild idea. What if a single thought could turn into a fortune? Because wealth, success, achievement, they actually don't begin with money or connections or even special skills. They begin entirely in the mind. If you can harness a single, powerful thought, you can literally turn it into reality. But, how exactly do you do that?
Well, to make this super actionable, we've organized Hill's 13 steps into a logical, four-phase journey. We're going to start by building the foundation, then move into crafting the plan, power through the push, elevate to the upper levels, and finally, we'll face a boss battle against the ghosts of fear.
Phase 1. The foundation. The very first step to any success is desire. And I don't mean a vague wish, I mean a burning, inescapable obsession. This whole idea is anchored by people like Edwin C. Barnes, who literally jumped a freight train with absolutely no money just because he had this burning desire to earn a partnership with Thomas Edison.
To get there, Hill actually gives us a very specific, 6-step formula to construct this kind of unstoppable momentum. First, you have to fix the exact amount you want, down to the dollar. Next, you must determine the price you're willing to pay, whether that's time, skill, or value. Then, set a hard deadline. Write out your plan, even if it's messy. Condense all of that into one crystal-clear statement. And finally, read it twice daily. This literally programs your brain to refuse anything less.
That brings us to step 2, which is faith. You've got to believe it before you see it, right? Picture this. Back in 1995, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sat in his car with exactly $7 in his pocket after being cut from the Canadian Football League. But he told himself, "I'm destined for something bigger." He used immense faith to completely refuse his current limits. He rebuilt himself as a wrestler, pushed through years of brutal rejection as an actor, until the outside world finally matched the vivid picture he held in his mind.
And that perfectly tees up step 3, autosuggestion. Think about that $10 million mark for a second. In the early 90s, a totally broke Jim Carrey wrote himself a post-dated check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and just kept it in his wallet. For 5 years, he visualized getting that exact paycheck, feeding his subconscious mind with thoughts, images, and deep emotions. By the time he landed Dumb and Dumber, guess what? His paycheck was exactly $10 million. Your subconscious doesn't argue whether something is true or false. It just absorbs what you repeat consistently. Phase 2, the plan. You've locked in that rock-solid foundation, but now you really have to ask yourself, are you just collecting information, or are you actively building the road to your goals?
Step 4 tackles this head-on by contrasting general knowledge with specialized knowledge. Get this. In 1919, a newspaper actually called Henry Ford an ignorant idealist. Ford was so furious he sued them for libel. In court, the opposing lawyer tried to embarrass him by quizzing him on basic historical trivia. Ford simply smiled and explained that he had a row of electric push buttons on his desk. He could summon brilliant experts to answer literally any foolish question they threw at him. The takeaway? General knowledge is basically useless on its own. Massive wealth is built by organizing and directing specialized knowledge toward a definite purpose.
Moving right along to step 5, imagination. Hill famously calls this the workshop of the mind. See, knowledge gives you the map, but imagination actually builds the road. And there are 2 types here. First, synthetic imagination, which combines existing concepts in new ways. Kind of like how 2 broke roommates combined air mattresses and a simple website to create the billion-dollar company Airbnb. Then you've got creative imagination, which are those brand new flashes of intuition, like an engineer noticing dog burrs sticking to his dog's fur after a walk and using that flash of insight to invent Velcro.
But look, an idea is absolutely nothing without step 6, organized planning. This framework is exactly how Netflix dominated. They started out delivering DVDs in the mail, but the plan wasn't perfect. When the world changed, they pivoted to streaming, and then eventually to original shows. Every major move was a result of organized planning. You define a metric, break down the key steps, set your weekly actions, map out your resources, and actually schedule the work. Remember, defeat is just feedback telling you to revise this very plan.
So the crucial point is how you handle the inevitable friction when your grand plan actually hits reality. Welcome to Phase 3, the push.
Step 7 is decision. The most successful people out there make decisions quickly, and they change them very slowly, if ever. Back in 1914, Henry Ford absolutely shocked the world by choosing to pay his workers $5 a day, which was double the going rate. Financial experts called him insane, predicting instant bankruptcy. But Ford didn't flinch. He made the fast decision and he held the line. The result? Productivity skyrocketed, turnover completely collapsed, and those same workers could suddenly afford to buy the very cars they were building. Procrastination and overthinking will literally kill your momentum.
Now, once you make that decision, the world is going to test you, no doubt about it, which leads us to step 8, persistence. Let me tell you a crazy story. During the Colorado Gold Rush, 2 men found a brilliant vein of gold. They raised money, bought expensive equipment, but suddenly, the gold just vanished. After weeks of failing to find it again, they quit. They sold all their machinery to a junk dealer for pennies. Well, that junk dealer hired an engineer who discovered that the original miners had stopped digging just 3 feet from the richest part of the entire mine.
The real lesson from those miners is summed up perfectly right here. Defeat isn't final unless you quit. So many people quit when success is quite literally just around the corner. They drop their plans right when compounding success is about to kick in. Persistence is a state of mind, you guys. It's this beautiful blend of willpower and burning desire that refuses to stop no matter how agonizingly slow the progress is. If things go wrong, fix the plan, not the goal.
Of course, persistence is a whole lot easier when you aren't fighting the battle alone. Enter Step 9, the power of the mastermind. In 1903, the Wright brothers achieved human flight. Now, they weren't wealthy, and they certainly weren't university-trained engineers. They were just bicycle mechanics. But when one brother got discouraged, the other stayed optimistic. By working in total harmony, they created a third invisible force, a multiplied current of ideas and energy that no single person could ever generate on their own.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we tap into raw energy. Welcome to Phase 4, the upper levels. We're moving from basic mechanics into pure psychological energy.
Step 10 is transmutation. Think back to 1974. Muhammad Ali faced a much younger, much stronger George Foreman in the legendary Rumble in the Jungle. Ali knew he couldn't just win going punch for punch. Instead, he channeled all of his physical and emotional energy, cutting out every single distraction, into one absolute purpose. He used his rope-a-dope strategy to exhaust Foreman and finally knock him out. Hill boldly introduces sex transmutation here, which is basically taking our most emotionally charged, primal energy and, instead of letting it control us, redirecting it to fuel our imagination, our charisma, and our sustained effort.
Step 11 is all about programming the subconscious. You literally have to guard your thoughts and attach deep, deep emotion to your goals. Take Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps. He visualized every single detail of his races, the dive, the strokes, even the worst-case scenario of his goggles filling with water. So when his goggles actually did fill with water during the 2008 Beijing Olympics, he didn't even panic. He had lived that moment so many times in his mind that his body just automatically followed through. He won gold and broke a world record blind. That brings us to the final 2, steps 12 and 13, the brain as a radio and the sixth sense. Basically, your brain broadcasts your dominant thoughts out into the world and picks up signals from other minds in the universe around you. When you focus intensely enough, selective attention kicks in, and opportunities seem to just magically find you. Steve Jobs famously relied on intuition, what Hill calls the sixth sense. It's that gut pull, that perfect timing that switches on automatically, but only after you've mastered and aligned the previous 12 principles.
Conquering the 6 ghosts of fear. Listen carefully. Every single principle we've just covered, it will completely collapse without the courage to defeat your silent enemies.
Hill identified these as the 6 ghosts of fear: poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Now these ghosts, they don't shout at you. They whisper. They quietly tell you to wait for the perfect time, to take the safe path, to lower your expectations so you won't get hurt. They paralyze your plans, they kill your faith, and they ensure that amazing opportunities pass you right by. Fear is a liar that kills dreams before they even start.
So I want to end this explainer with one final vital question. The people you admire the most, they acted while those ghosts were still whispering in their ears. They burned the ships and they moved forward anyway. The only thing standing between you and the life you truly desire is the decision to start today with exactly what you have. So what's it going to be?
Will you let fear dictate your destiny, or will you step into the workshop of your mind and start building? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there and take that first step.